Part of me really didn't want to make this video, but for the sake of my mental health, I think I should. It's going to be a little bit of a rant, which is something I don't do very often, but I'm going to do my best to contain myself. So let's talk about the situation real quick. I'm going to put it up right here on my desktop. It's a very, very, very simple situation that honestly is not a big deal, but for me, for whatever reason, it is bothering me, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to deal with it. But let me just explain the situation first so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so recently I got a YouTube comment on one of the videos I recently posted about the MacBook Air M3. And here is the comment, which I thumbs down because I really dislike it. Basically, it says, "You are just taking advantage of Apple and the return policy for clicks and views on your channel. Stepping down from a Pro to an Air says it all." And for me, seeing that like 8 people like that, and for this video, it's like why I'm returning the M3 MacBook Air 15-inch. And in the video, basically, I just talk about like how I've been using the M3 for a while. And while using it, I've been noticing that the speaker quality is not as good. And for me, coming from a MacBook 2019, I just felt like the lack of ports plus the speaker quality and downgrade was not enough for me to keep the MacBook M3 Air. I'll just call it the MacBook Air from now on. But basically for this, one of the reasons why I dislike it so much is because this person is just assuming so much about like my situation, me, and like why I created the video in the first place. Like for me, I created it because I like creating videos for fun. There have been like situations where I return gear occasionally, because when you're purchasing something that is like really expensive, something that is above $1,000, you want to make sure that you actually like it. You want to make sure that this is something that you're going to stick with like for the next 5 or so years. Of course, you want to make sure it's like right for you. So I bought the MacBook Air under the premise of like, okay, let's test this thing out and let's try it. Just to give more context, again, I came from the MacBook Pro 2019, and like you would assume around 4 to 5 years later, like the Air 15 version, which is only 1 inch like lower, is pretty good, right? Like it's gonna do the job better for video editing, especially because that's what I mainly use my MacBook for. And my trip to Japan, I brought my this thing right here, my MacBook Air 13-inch, and it did the job. It was M1, but it still did the job. It was a little slow at times. So I was like, okay, what if I sort of merge it and do the middle? I did a lot of research about like 15-inch versus 16-inch for MacBook Pro versus MacBook Air. And then I decided, okay, let's just give it a shot. Let's just actually buy it, try it, and know for sure instead of just like keep continuously guessing. Because again, it's an investment. It's something that you're going to be using for a while. You don't want to regret it. And that's why for me, I decided to return it because it just wasn't quite enough. I returned it literally, I think 2 days after I got this M3 MacBook Pro. And the reason I got this one was to transfer over everything, so then nothing is like lost in between. And I'm super happy with this M3 MacBook Pro now. Like worlds happier, and I'm glad that I returned it because for that reason. But it's just crazy to me that people are just like, you know, I mean, it's not crazy, it's obvious. Like, of course, people are gonna make comments like this. It's just like people who don't really, they just look at the title, they don't care about the context, and they're just like, okay, this person is just making this video for clicks or whatever. If that was true, I would have done way better with like the video, because I made that video out of nowhere on a whim, using like my iPhone camera for some of the shots. And for me, I'm someone who's like very, very well versed with like the prosumer side of camera stuff. Like I have the Sony ZV E1. I'm using the Sony A7 IV. I could have like went all out with the lighting. I could have like got a lot of good B-roll shots. If I actually purchased that thing just to make a video for it, I would have done those things. So it's like crazy to me that this person just like assumes so many things, and that it's even crazier and more annoying to me that like people are just coming in and being like, yeah, this person's right, even though they like have no context of the situation. But again, I know this is the internet and I shouldn't like make it a big deal. But for some reason, like I had this like nagging feeling inside of me. I wrote some notes to be a bit more organized with this video. I had this like nagging feeling inside of me. I was like, you know, why am I feeling so like frustrated? Why am I feeling so like down, I guess? Because it's like, why do all these people just assume the worst from me? I know it's not like a me thing. I know they probably don't care about me. They're never going to remember me at all in the future. But for me, as someone who creates a lot of YouTube videos, and especially someone who creates a lot of like random videos for fun and just like things I want to express and things I want to talk about, they're all over the place. This is my personal channel. I talk about anything and everything. So I'm bound to get some comments like these in the future. And for me, I'm like, how do I deal with this? You know, how do I like make this feeling lesser? How do I strengthen my resilience, like get thicker skin and all that stuff, right? And a part of me is thinking, okay, you know, I can ignore the comment. That's one thing. A lot of people give that advice for, you know, people who are online. You can ignore negative stuff, or you can, you know, give a response, which is what I did. My response was very simple. It was just, you know, not sure why you think that, but I genuinely wanted to like the MacBook Air 15 due to portability and my future travel plans. I watched a lot of videos about Air 15 versus Pro in general, and a lot of people said they were happy with the Air, so that's why I gave it a chance. And then I said, but you're free to think whatever you want, which again is very true. Like everything I said here is basically what I just said to the camera earlier, because I do have a lot of future plans in Japan, and I expect to be carrying around a laptop with me. And that's why like the 15-inch Air would have been such a great thing if the speaker and the ports were a bit more, like, because I don't want to have too many laptops, you know what I mean? Like having this 13-inch MacBook Air is nice, but I don't want to bring this and the 16-inch, but I'm kind of, in my opinion now, I'm kind of forced to just bring the 16-inch. Like that's what I've decided on. But because if I want to edit things properly and edit things fast, like that's what I'm going to have to do. If I just want one laptop. If I had all the money in the world, then, you know, obviously I would just buy both, because the MacBook Air is a great laptop. But anyways, going back into my rant, I just feel like it's a little strange that I know people like this exist, people who just make assumptions and make negative comments and stuff like that. I've experienced that actually on my main channel a few times. I don't want to like look for the comments, but I'll just describe the comments and I'll switch over back to the main camera so I can just talk to it. So basically, in my main channel, I've made like, I think 2 videos or 3 that received some negative comments. One was a video where I was reviewing a microphone. It's unlisted now because I sort of like gave in to the negativity, I guess. But what happened was, while I was reviewing the microphone, I was trying to put on like a wind filter or a pop filter. And it was like a pop filter that was really difficult to put on. So I was like trying my best. And I thought it was kind of funny to just show a little bit of that footage, which I did in the beginning. And then some comments were like, look at this immature kid, like messing with his equipment, not respecting it, blah, blah, blah. And then so many people were like basically saying the same thing about how like I didn't know anything and how like I'm disrespecting a legendary microphone or something. And in my head, I'm just like, whoa, I just wanted to talk about this microphone and why I am selling it, because I no longer use it, because it's not really a podcast mic. It's more of like an instrument mic, like something that you record instruments with. And I sort of made that mistake, and I was talking about that in my video. And then like I kept getting comments like that, and it made me not want to read comments on my main channel, because like whenever I saw comments related to certain videos, I was like, okay, just don't look at it. Because it was very, very painful. Like, I don't know, it's very hard to describe the feeling. It's like you're being gossiped about, basically. I'm sure everyone has experienced that at least. But when you're on YouTube, when you're on social media and you're posting your thoughts and your expressions online, and people are basically just like throwing negativity at you, like, you know, like we read these things, by the way. It's like, I feel like some people comment without thinking about how the other person's going to feel. They comment as if the other person doesn't actually exist. Sometimes it's very disrespectful, but there are really nice comments as well. I do want to mention that. Like, I really, really appreciate people who actually comment, giving their real thoughts. Sometimes it's like honesty mixed with a little bit of feedback, and that's totally fine. I love that. And it's respectful. Like, sometimes there's a lot of nice comments that I've received, and I seriously love them. They really, really help for sure with motivation and just like feeling good. But it's so weird how like you just get a few negative comments and like it feels like the end of the world a little bit. And for me back then when I received those comments, and there was like another video where I was talking about sleep. That video, I don't know why I got so many views. It's like 100,000 plus views. I titled it something along the lines of like how to fix your sleep essentially. And I talked a lot about the context of what I was doing and my sleep situation. And then my advice was like very, very short. And I think a lot of comments were like, you know, why is this video so long? Why are you talking about this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, why don't you just get to the point? Blah, blah, blah. Like so many things where I'm just like, I just wanted to like make a video about sleep because I was encountering really bad sleep for a while and then I managed to fix it. So I wanted to give some tips on it. Similar situation here. It's like, it's so weird to me that, for me, I get so bothered by these comments. And for me, whenever I look at that video again and people comment on it, I just like avoid looking at it. It's like I shied away. I was scared. I gave into the fear of like that bad feeling. And this time around, I don't want to do that. You know, this time around, I'm getting back into YouTube. I'm going to read the comments, and I know there's going to be some negative ones in the future. That's just bound to happen because the internet is huge, because there are kind of people that are just rude and disrespectful. Like there are so many ways to like put things in a better way while still giving like criticism or feedback. But people just don't care because they're not nice. That's it. Previous experience. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. Freedom of expression. Yeah. Okay. So for me, the reason why I decided to make this video was because I feel like the only way forward for me, not doing the same thing as like back then where I shied away and tried to just avoid looking at comments, like sort of gave into fear is what happened back then. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to move forward. I want to like face it, you know? And I'm not going to like act like I'm cool and act like, oh, whatever, I don't care about that comment. Like it doesn't bother me, because it does. Like that's my honest feeling. And that's why for me, I'm making a video like this where I talk about it, because that's kind of what I do these days, right? It's what I've done all the time. Since I've been journaling for a long time, I just write and I talk about my feelings. I express it. I let it go. That's what a rant is, right? You sort of just talk about it because it felt negative, it sucked, the experience sucked, there's a bad feeling inside of you, and you want to get it out. So that's the sort of solution I'm coming up with right now. I'm probably not going to make a rant video every single time I see a bad comment, but this is sort of like the beginning stages, and I definitely will get better over time. My skin will thicken over time, and eventually it'll just be like just another bad comment, just another rude person that doesn't care about the context, that isn't actually like really watching the video and just making their own assumptions, I guess. And I know a part of me feels like I didn't want to do this because it feels weak. It feels like I'm complaining, you know, and I don't like complaining in general. And it feels in general immature, I suppose. Like, but at the same time, this is sort of just how I feel, and it's the truth. It's me being honest. And I think, to me, showing that and trying to like get over it is better than pretending it doesn't exist and just like acting cool about it. So that's my rant. That's the entire thing. I apologize if this isn't the type of stuff that is sort of in line with the usual stuff I make, because I do feel like I generally try to always have videos or create videos that have like some positivity in it or something that's like interesting or something that I'm learning from. But this is definitely something I'm learning from, because it's like the journey of being on YouTube, the journey of being a creator online. And I think a lot of people have experienced this before, for sure. And, you know, if you're a creator, if you're someone who posts online, like, let me know if you've ever had a similar feeling, basically. And that's pretty much it for this one. I'm glad I could just let it out. Now it's time to get back to some Japanese practice. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.